So, thank you for joining us tonight on Shady Sports Network. As I have spoken about many times on this network before, I am a huge proponent for leagues lowering their age for professional players so they can come into the league a little bit earlier. And one of the big reasons why is because of man like the man here sitting next to me who can definitely make it happen at a higher league. This guy here is only 20 years old and has already played 2 years of professional football. And I mean, this is the exact example of why I believe the ages should be lowered in leagues like the XFL, the USFL, stuff like that, because there are men out there that can make that leap. But real quick, before we get into the content, I just wanted to ask everybody who's watching, throw us a like for this. I can't tell you how much it helps when it's pushing out the content. If viewers don't see that you like this, if YouTube doesn't see that you like this, it won't push it out to new viewers. And with that being said, we can't really grow on YouTube as quick as we would like to and put players like Manny here on a higher, bigger platform and get them in front of more viewers. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. At what age did you start playing football, and what inspired you to play the game?
Well, I started playing ball like in organized, I guess, middle school. I was playing sixth grade. Um, I was playing, at lunch, and then one of the, guards or duties was like, "Oh, he's like, are you playing for the football team?" And I was like, "Oh no," I was like, "I'm playing next year though." And then ever since then, I started playing seventh, eighth, and then I played some about city leagues, I guess you can say, like 7-on-7, and then we had the Tri-City Elite. So there's a range football that I played.
Interesting. So is football kind of like a family sport to you guys, or is it something you play? Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. I got a little brother. He's a little beast himself. He's like his big brother. He's always grinding. Got the hands
awesome.
too.
That's awesome. So where's he playing these days?
I believe he's a freshman this year, so he should be starting up here pretty soon. But he played sixth and through seventh for football, and I believe they won championship 3 years in a row.
Very nice. Just like his older brother.
Yeah.
So, have you always primarily played offense?
Yeah, I played defense and offense. As you've seen, I played special teams. I was also a long snapper for a little bit in high school, and I played punter, but primarily wide receiver, DB.
Gotcha. So mainly anywhere they can utilize your speed, basically.
Anywhere they need me,
Gotcha. So, I mean, you talked about it a minute ago. You've played some defense. You've played some special teams. You played some offense. I mean, how did you get so good at being a gunner and on kickoff coverage?
High school I was on special teams a lot. They liked me there because I run down the field and just go hit somebody. Really, I was like, okay,
That's awesome. So it looks like one of your former coaches is tuning in, Coach Willis. So he says you were a beast when you coached you. So during your high school career, you were listed as a wide receiver / running back, like we said, basically anywhere they could utilize your speed. But you were only 6'2", 170 pounds at the time.
Yeah.
So you're basically just kind of like super tall and skinny, which I thought was kind of crazy for playing running back. I mean, were you ever worried about injuries of playing the position?
At first I wasn't until I hit about, I believe it was my sophomore year, where I overstretched my knee, overstretched the ligament, and I was out for the season. But after that, I wasn't afraid at all to run the ball.
Really? Interesting. So, from your unique perspective, what do you make of all the talk about Deebo Samuel running the ball, not running the ball as a wide receiver?
He's a goat himself. Like, really, he just does what he does, and that's why he's good at what he does.
Absolutely. So we got another couple other people tuning in. Marco Garcia, who's been on the channel before, he says, "Get it, my boy." And then Coach Willis says, "You guys are going to three-peat this year, the Rush, that is." So the way you guys are playing, it wouldn't surprise me. So we spoke off camera, and you told me you do not have an agent. So I'm extremely curious how you went from high school football into the semi-pro football world almost immediately.
So yeah, basically right out of high school, I I didn't have the grades, for college and bigger leagues, So I was like, damn, like I still want to play ball. So I walked on to try out for the Tri-City Rage, and unfortunately, our season was cut short due to COVID. And we played, I believe, like 3 games, but yeah, I tried out. Coach Tate, he was the head coach there. He liked what he's seen, and after the season had ended, I'm like, well, I still want to play football. And then I had seen before the Rush, it was the Tri-City Fire, and I went to go try out for them. And I believe they had like some incident that happened. They, did something they weren't supposed to, so that team got shut down. And then came along the Tri-City Rush, and Brandon was like, "You want to play some football?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to play some football." And
Gotcha.
so he told me he's got big things coming, and I was ready for it. I was ready for the tryout.
Well, hey, man, did he live up to his word or what? I mean, big things you
Yeah.
guys have done. Oh, wow. So that's quite the connection there. Basically, if it weren't for Coach Tate, do you believe you'd be where you're at right now?
I don't think so, man. He really believed in me. Like not a lot of coaches have done that. So I appreciate him for giving me a shot, and then that's now I am where I am.
Absolutely. I mean, as we'll get into later on, he definitely speaks very highly of you when asked. So how did your rookie year playing semi-pro go? I wasn't able to find any of your stats in that league.
Yeah. So for semi-pro, like I said, we only played I believe it was like 2 or 3 games. First game, I believe I had a touchdown, like 40 yards receiving, and then little pump fake. I went about 20 yards from my memory at least. And then the second game we played in Utah, and it wasn't a very good game. I'll just say that it wasn't a very good game. But,
Hey,
we played our hearts out.
at least you're honest, right? Um, so do you believe your play spoke for itself at that time, and that's part of what led to the opportunity under Coach Tate? I mean, do you think he
Uh,
takes the chance on you if it weren't for the kind of player you are on the field?
I believe that. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So kind of give me a look into your off-field relationship with Coach Tate. Coach Tate. I mean, obviously, it seems like you guys get along pretty well. You just called him Brandon. I mean, that's not a very typical thing between a coach and a player. But with that being said, I mean, how well do you guys get along off the field?
Oh, he's a goof. He's a goofball. He's one of the funniest coaches I've ever met in my life. And he's always ready to go. He's always hyper. He's always here to set the tone, and he's there to pump everybody up. He knows exactly what to say, how to say it. You know, he's a very cool dude.
That's
Happy to
awesome.
have him as a coach.
That's awesome. So, I mean, obviously, it seems like you've made a very lasting connection and a very important connection to your particular career. I mean, I like to point that out because a lot of times kids aren't told that, or sorry, I don't mean to refer to you as a kid, but younger people are not told at the time that they need to network, they need to meet people, they need to create an impression with coaches, et cetera, because you never know when that stuff's going to help you out down the line. So, I mean,
Yeah.
with that being said, Coach Tate ends up moving to the AWFC, a new arena league at the time. He's hired to coach the Tri-City Rush. Did you immediately know when you were when he went there that you would be brought with him, or was it a situation where you were kind of waiting it out, wondering where you would end up, and he called?
It was a situation where I had to wait out and wait because nothing's a given. So I made sure I was training and you know working on my craft. When tryouts came, I'm ready to go. I know how to play, and just enough play good enough for the eyes that need to be.
Absolutely. So how do you go about training individually as a wide receiver? I mean, do you have a quarterback that you work out with, or are you out there with the jugs machine somewhere?
Normally I'm just out there just working on my craft, cones, running routes. But sometimes I have a quarterback out there, sometimes I won't. So I'm just like, dang, just craft right now for now.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, maybe I can help you out with that. I'll have to get exactly what area you're in, and I'll see if I know any quarterbacks up that way you can work out with a little bit more often. But how much of Tate's assistance came over to the Rush from the semi-pro team you guys worked with?
Quite a bit. We had Danny. Actually, I don't know. I think Danny Angle, our defensive coordinator, was the only one that came, and John too.
Okay, so only 3 coaches ultimately.
Yeah.
So was it like a new location for you or a new team for you, or was it kind of like you were on the same team just in a different location?
Kind of the same team. Most of the players I had already played with in semi-pro for the Tri-City Rage. So we had that connection, like Tyler Merkel, a couple of the players, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Talk to me about what the AWFC offers to players like yourself that are looking to get to a higher level.
We have we believe we just added the televised. We televise in our games. I believe that helps us out a lot. Getting us film and basically, promoting us. We got here in the Tri Cities on one of our billboards that shows the home of the Tri-City Rush right there at the Happel Center. So that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. That is very cool. When you first signed with the Rush, did you immediately think that you guys were going to be as good as you are? I mean, I don't think really anybody knew that you'd be this good. But I mean, you got
definitely not. No, I thought it was going to be like, okay, it's different. For me, it was different because I knew that there was. We had a couple ex NFL players, ex D1 college players, and I'm straight out of high school. So I'm like, damn, I'm gonna really need to work on my craft, work even harder than I need to. And the guys from last year, they really helped me out a lot. They gave me pointers, what to do, what not to do, and it really helped out.
interesting. Any names we might recognize for former NFL?
Keith Fleming.
Okay, definitely recognize that name. And
I believe he's the only one. Yeah.
Okay. And then didn't Deshaun Williams, if I'm not mistaken, make it?
Oh yeah. My dude, Deshaun, just recently signed with Seattle.
Oh, that was recently?
Well, the last year.
Gotcha. I was like, wow. I mean, I heard he signed with the Seahawks, but I couldn't find exactly when it happened when I looked it up. So if there's one slight complaint I have about the AWFC, and very slight complaint, I mean, really, that they're pretty good in terms of startup leagues like they are. But the stats are somewhat inaccurate. So I'm kind of ballparking your stats, but basically it was somewhere in the range of 220 receptions for somewhere over 270 yards. And I believe you said it was 5 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
and then you had 3 touchdowns on the ground, another 37 rushing yards, which I'm not sure is accurate. I wanted to ask you about that. I saw somewhere that in week 9 you actually had over 40 rushing yards, and then you only had 37 on the season. So I was a little confused about that. But once again, minor complaint.
I don't know.
Interesting. So I'll have to do some digging on that. But take a moment and tell us about the level of competition in the AWFC that you play against.
It's pretty good competition. We got some guys, like I said, they played college football, and they got the experience more than me. And it helps me out because after we play some teams more than once. So after we play them once, I'm like, all right, that's how he plays. This is how he's gonna move, and that helps me for the next time we play him. And that's basically how I just been rolling when playing the games.
Interesting. So when you guys go into a week of games, I mean, do you have film you can study, or is it a situation where?
Yes, sir.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very nice. So talk to me about a typical film study session for your team.
Uh, I wouldn't say we would do it as a team. It would just basically be like on our time, because some of us have work and so we have our own time to study. I would normally watch, sometimes between 10, 12 o'clock at night after like the day's done. Like, okay, like this is what he does. I'm gonna do this. This is what he does. I'm gonna do that.
Gotcha. Interesting. Now, when you're looking at film, are you looking strictly at the the DBs, or are you looking at the defensive line? Are you looking at the safeties? I mean, are you looking at everything?
Basically everything. Normally when the positions I played were either goes, post, corners. Rarely, we ran hitches and here and there, but goes, post, corners, makes see what's open there, how to run them.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So tell me how you feel like you've developed under Coach Tate over the last 3 years underneath him.
I developed a lot, and people have been telling me like you've gotten so much better from either high school or even last year. I was like, well, that's Tate pushes players, and then those players push each other. It helps. It's like a domino effect. It helps all of us.
Gotcha. We might have to start a new hashtag. Instead of the Patriots way, it'll be the Rush way or Tate's way or something
Tate's
like
way.
that. We'll figure it out. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it sounds like you guys have a great organization built from the top down. And it's just a testament to everything you guys have been able to do over the past 2 seasons. I'm sorry. I mean, 19-2 record, back-to-back championship wins. I mean, over that time, do you have a highlight that sticks out above all else to you?
It would have to be this year's championship. I ran a little hitch route and ended up scoring after that. It was a dope moment for me, playing. I didn't play last year in the championship. When I played this year, it was very hype for me. I was ready to go.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations, by the way, once again, back-to-back championships. Um, Amazing feat at any level. I mean, a lot of stuff has to go right for a team to win a championship 2 years in a row. And I mean, for you guys to do it in the manner that you've done, I mean, it's amazing. Sometimes you're rolling over teams by like 10, 15 points at times. And a lot of times, in fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, you guys scored over 70 points like 3 times this past season.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insane to watch your offense work. So we talked about it. You playing 6'2", 170 pounds in high school. It's only 3 seasons later, and you're listed at 6'2", 195 pounds. So, how have you changed your training regimen from then to now to add that weight and still keep your speed?
Eating, lots of eating, and lots of running. Basically, I want to get bigger, but not like too big to where like, oh, okay, I can't maintain my speed, like because at one point I was weighing when I started weighing about 185, 190. I felt a little slow, so I'm like, okay, like maybe I just need to run more. And unfortunately, like I did. So when we started getting back in the season, just I just kept eating, running.
Gotcha. So, do you have the aims to add more weight, or are you pretty set at
Oh yeah,
195?
oh yeah. I got plans to add more weight.
What's your goal, if you don't mind me asking?
Uh, Trying to get to about 210, 215.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a stout wide receiver. That's an NFL
Mm,
prototypical wide receiver at this point. So, as everybody could see in the thumbnail, I mean, you had a pretty awesome season this season. We talked about it before. I mean, you had about 300, 400 330 all-purpose yards as well as 8 offensive touchdowns. I mean, do you believe that your skill set was best used in that multi-purpose role where you run the ball some, catch some passes?
yes, sir.
So, I mean, if you were an offensive coordinator, that's what you're doing. You're going to move yourself around a bunch, kind of exploit the mismatch, so to speak.
That's exactly what I'll do. 'Cause some linebackers can't really. Some. I'm gonna say some because I know that there's some quick linebackers out there. But most linebackers, they're a little bigger, a little slower moving, and once you give me that gap, I'm gonna take it. And so, Vontae, very cool dude. He'd be like, "Yo, Manny, just run past him. You're faster." I'm like, "Okay," and sure enough, just blow by him.
Gotcha. So, I mean, you also quickly proved, as I mentioned before, that you're also, I mean, you're not one dimensional, even though I was talking about the fact that you could run the ball and catch passes. But I mean, you also play special teams. You're basically your team's special teams ace. I mean, in 10 games, you had 9 tackles, 1 forced fumble, a fumble recovery for a touchdown. I mean, how is it? I mean, how do you train to be good on special teams? Is that a situation where it's just repetition, instinct,
I
or
I think it's just instinct, man. I like, yeah, I'm gonna have to say it's instinct. I just fly down the field and hope I get the tackle.
really? That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I just wonder because like there's certain guys that are just really good at it, and I've never been able to tell what makes a good special teams player. So it's interesting to hear that it's just an innate ability. You just run
yeah,
downfield and find the ball carrier. So I felt Coach Tate knows you better than probably anybody on this planet, given the fact that he's coached you for the last 3 seasons, as far as a football player. So I wanted to ask his opinions on you. And basically, this is what he said word for word. He said, "You're an amazing athlete and football player. No one will ever guess that you're 20 years old. Probably one of the fastest players in the league and not afraid to go over the middle. Really came on strong for us on our undefeated run as a player. We could trust to catch the ball in contact situations. Still super young and developing his routes, but for his age, I won't be surprised if he moves up levels quickly." With all that being said, how are you approaching this offseason, and what do you hope to improve on further to develop as a player?
like I said, man, grinding and eating, lots of eating for sure.
Absolutely. So, what do you make of what Coach Tate said about you? I mean, do you agree with his assessment?
Yes, sir. Like I said, Coach Tate knows what to say and how to say it. And like I said, he's a
God,
very cool dude.
absolutely. So, I'm going to leave you with one last question. You play for a team that's gone 19-2, winning back-to-back championships in your only 2 professional seasons. So, I mean, you've already reached the pinnacle of your sport, or I mean, your league. What are your goals for next season? With that being said,
Uh, as me, get bigger, faster, and stronger. But as a team, we're gonna try to go for that another 10-0 season. Give us another ring.
gotcha. So you're going for that.
Nothing's promised. We could win 2 back to back, not do as good next year. So we just never know. I can't really just say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go for 3." No, we're gonna try to do that. We're gonna do the best that we could.
I like that. I like that approach to it. So I'm curious. I asked Josh Davis about it. I don't know if you caught that interview, but um, there was some speculation from some people that the Tri-City team might be moving up to the IFL. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not, but I'm hoping that's the plan.
Gotcha. So basically, as of right now, assuming another league, perhaps the XFL, calls you up and offers you a draft invite or something like that, you're all in on the rush for season 3, and you're wherever. If they're in the IFL, you're going. If you're in the and if they're in the AWFC, you plan on being there too. Absolutely. All right. Well, man, a few words. I definitely understand that. You're very humble. Alex Hauser tuning in. He says, "Nah, we were winning 3." He'll say the confident point that you don't want to say. But I really appreciate you coming on, man. Like I told you before, off camera, multiple times before, I think what it takes to make it to the next level. I think most of your roster has what it takes to make it at the next level. But you in particular, you're super young. I mean, if a team brought you in right now, you're basically younger than the vast majority of rookies on their team currently. I mean, most
Yeah,
rookies come into the league at 21 years old, 22 years old. Some as old as 25. There's some players that you've played more professional football than, yet you're younger and could go to the next level with that on your side. So I definitely think you have nothing but upside and nothing but the ability to make it to the next level. So I look forward to seeing what you do with the rest of your career, man. And I definitely expect to be seeing you playing on Saturdays or Sundays for the XFL, USFL, or NFL at some point.
I'm praying, so it'd be a real blessing, and that's what I look at this like as a team right now. It's a blessing to be on. So I thank God, Brandon Tate, and my parents, they got me right.
There you go. There you go. I love it. I love it. Well, again, man, I appreciate you coming on. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I will speak to you soon. Definitely keep me updated if you hear anything back.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for having me on here. I'm grateful.
Absolutely, man. And we'll definitely have you back again because I'm sure we're going to have to be doing an update at some point when you sign a contract with, one of those bigger leagues like I was just talking about.
Hopefully, man.
Absolutely. So one more comment before we get off here. Devin says you're the GOAT. So I just wanted to throw
my boy.
There you go. All right. Well, have a great night, man. I will catch you later. And once again, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, man. You too. You have a good one.